Hey everyone, welcome back to Rich Girl Book Club, the place to come to get a little bit richer and a little bit smarter. So happy you clicked on this video and I'm so excited for today's topic. I'm Jess and I want to talk about why I don't recommend and I don't believe in a no buy or low buy year. Now, first off, I want to say that I haven't actually done these challenges. So this is just from my own personal experience outside of doing the challenge. So I want to make that important note. And second of all, let me tell you what a no buy or low buy year is in case you've never heard of it. So this has kind of become a popular trend over the past few years where people will elect to do this challenge, which is a no buy or a low buy month, year, week, whatever that looks like. And I want to specifically talk about the year-long challenge of a no or low buy. And a no buy and low buy, they're essentially the same thing. You have certain rules that you adhere by. You have certain categories that you're not spending in at all, or you have like a very specific list of exceptions, if that makes sense. Like it's not a budget. It's not I can only spend $100 on entertainment. It's like I'm spending $0 on entertainment, or I'm only buying concert tickets for these 2 concerts that I'm seeing this year. I see people do this a lot with clothing, with beauty products. So for an example of that will be, I can only buy 10 items of clothes this whole year, okay? Or I won't buy any clothes this whole year. And people will do similar rules around beauty products, okay? It's like I have to use up every concealer that I have before I'm allowed to purchase a new one. There's a lot of different rules, but the idea here is I would like to spend less, right? You're trying to cut down your cost by making these rules that help you achieve that goal. And the idea is the reason that people do this is also to save more, or maybe to pay off debt that they have. They basically just want to cut expenses for another financial goal. So that's basically what a low or no buy year is. And you would think that someone that is a finance enthusiast like myself and does budgeting and finance tracking and all that kind of stuff, that I would love this kind of thing. But I actually see a lot of problems with it. So let's talk about why I don't really believe in a no or low buy year. The first point here is restriction. So the essence of this whole plan is that you are restricting yourself. And this is even beyond restricting to a budgeting number. This is like restricting your spending in a whole category, right? And human nature does not do great with restriction. So this is kind of similar to like a diet, right? They don't work. There has been like proven science that restricting for a certain amount of time, for a certain category of food in this case, or your budgeting categories, it doesn't in the long run work. Because what typically tends to happen is, let's say you restrict for X amount of time, then you usually overspend in the next period of time, right? So if you do like a no buy month, usually what happens is you end up overspending in the next month and it kind of just evens out. So it doesn't really end up helping you except for like feeling that sense of restriction. And I don't really love that feeling around money. So number 2 goes along with that. I tend to see people do a lot of binge shopping before and after the challenge. So, for example, I will see people make whole videos where they're talking about like all the spending I'm doing now so that I don't spend money this year. And I can definitely see in certain situations where that could actually work. But in theory, you're gonna just be, like I said, overspending beforehand or overspending after. Okay, so let's say you go a whole year and you don't buy any clothes, then probably the next year you're going to spend more on clothes than usual. And I don't know how beneficial that is in the long run. So we have to think about like, okay, yeah, in this month or year, I didn't spend any money on clothes. Okay, but let's look at the year before and after. So I can see that being an issue. Now, number 3, this is probably my favorite opinion that I'm sharing, but I don't think this is really a great option for learning long-term spending habits, okay? So the whole idea behind this, again, is you don't have trust in yourself. You say, I don't trust myself enough to make good spending choices. I don't trust myself enough to see that Instagram or TikTok ad and not buy it. I don't trust myself enough to make decisions around buying clothing that's a good long-term investment versus a trendy, cheap, fast fashion option. Okay, so you see my rhythm here. There's like no self-trust behind it. And I think to really nail your finances and feel really good about them is you have to build this sense of self-trust. To have good financial habits long term, we need to learn what is a good decision, right? So I think it's a lot more impactful to actually make those financial mistakes on a small scale and learn from them, right? So what I think is a better technique to go along here is to continually be learning from your own spending patterns, okay? Being realistic and tracking, that helps you see like, what am I actually doing with my money? And do I like it? Am I okay with it, right? Because a normal person doesn't just never buy clothes again, right? You grow, you change, your clothes wear out, right? So let's learn how to make better choices around buying clothing, okay? So maybe you want to implement like a 48-hour rule where you find the item and then you make yourself wait 48 hours before making that purchase. And that gives you the time to really think it through. If you've already forgotten about it, there's like other things that you can do that are going to help you long term, because after this challenge, there's been nothing that's changed your habits besides that you restricted completely for a whole year. Number 4 is that your financial wealth isn't always just about brutally cutting your expenses, right? I think that's like the most common thing that we learn around finances, right? It's like, okay, if you want to earn, like, if you want to be richer, cut your expenses, right? And I don't think that's the best way all the time. That's definitely a very important piece. I believe that you should spend a lot on the things that you love and not on the things that you don't love and don't bring you value. So with that, like, it's not just always brutally cutting all your expenses, because there's also like a long-term component too. Like, oh, you know what? I need to cut my fitness classes. They're just too expensive. I've just decided that they're too expensive for me. I'm not doing them anymore and I'm cutting them out. But then you're not really thinking about like the long-term impact of doing an exercise that you love, having a consistent routine, building strength right now, having that be a motivator for you to stick to your long-term goals, right? So that's just like one example of financial health isn't always just cut expenses, because you're going to get to a point where you just can't cut anymore and you're probably going to be miserable. So there's a lot of other options, is like figuring out how to save and invest, and also your income piece as well. So there's other options here, and this whole challenge focuses on expenses only. Number 5 on my list is there's so much shame when you fail. Okay, so let's say you start one of these challenges and then a month in, you see the most beautiful sweater you've ever seen. And it's the perfect color, the perfect texture, and it's like something you've been literally dreaming about, not just something that you see on a whim on Instagram. Like, you actually find a piece that you love so much and you can't buy it. Or you do buy it and you feel so bad about it, even though it becomes your favorite sweater that you wear for years and years to come in the future. Next on my list is the negative energy around finances. So by doing this kind of challenge, you are putting a lot of pressure on yourself to not spend. And part of this kind of philosophy is this scarcity mindset around money. There's not enough money to go around. I will spend what I don't have, okay? So this can be kind of a toxic energy that you have around money, when it's actually more beneficial to have an abundance mindset around money. Now, this is something that I am newer to as well, and I'm learning to incorporate. I've definitely had that negative energy around money before, but I'm trying to have more of this abundance mindset, and apparently there's a lot of power behind it, and it can really help you. If you are open to your money growing, you can visualize your money growing, then you're gonna make better choices overall. You're not just going to spend, right? Because when you spend right now, you're actually saying, I won't have this money in the future. I must spend it now. So that's not what we're saying here. I just think that having a more positive mindset around money than this negative energy is really going to help you out in the long term. So really believe in that. Last on my list is refusing to buy something in this year that is going to bring you a lot of value long term. For example, this year you could buy the perfect pair of jeans that you wear for the next 5 years that you love and they're amazing, right? But this is a no buy year, so you can't buy them. So part of this could be, oh, I buy them next year, okay? But let's say a year later, you just missed out on a whole year of wearing this high quality item that you love right now. And yeah, you might wear this pair of jeans for the next 5 years, or you might wear them for the next 2 years, and you already just lost a year because you didn't buy them right now, okay? So stick with me here. I don't think that you should just buy every piece of clothing you've ever wanted right now, just because you'll have the longest time to wear them, right? But I do think that you could be missing out on a clothing item or a piece of furniture for your home or something that comes into your life this year that you are not going to be open to coming into your life, aka purchasing, because you can't buy it this year. So definitely a push and pull there with that, but I think that you could miss out on a really good item. So a lot of people do this with clothing where they will calculate a cost per wear. So you could buy a 200 pair of jeans, but if you wear them like 3 days a week, your cost per wear could be like $1 or something, right? But if you cut down on that time of being able to wear the item, like I'm saying, your cost per wear isn't as good. So just something to think about with bringing value to your life. Last thing I want to say here is that I think a low and a no buy year could actually be good for some people. I just think that there are better options out there. So please do your own research, see if it's a good thing for you, and just keep all these things in mind if you feel like, oh, I'm just pressured to do a no buy, low buy year. Oh, there are other options. I can do this instead, which my recommendation would be monthly budgeting, keep reviewing your finances and your expenses and see how you feel about them. So that's all I have to say on this topic. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Stick around, join the club, join Rich Girl Book Club if you want to see more about personal finances, building wealth in your 20s, bookish things. We got a lot coming your way. So please subscribe and drop a comment below what you think about a low buy or no buy year. Have you done it? Maybe you've done it and you love it. I would love to hear about your experience, so let me know. And yeah, thank you so much. Bye. Real quick note, I want to give a shout out to my special guest of the video, Henry, my corgi. He is out like a light, but he is with us today. Shout out, Henry!